Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the SENB Daily Brief. It's Monday, December 1st, and after a long Thanksgiving weekend, the crypto markets have woken up and chosen violence. Bitcoin slid to the mid-85,000 range, Solana dove to around $124, Ethereum slipped toward $2,756, and XRP dipped into the low $2 range. Shocking news. Price goes down after going up. Truly unprecedented. But don't worry, we'll put today's so-called crash in actual perspective because context matters more than panic tweets. Plus, Michael Saylor has re-entered the chat. Elon Musk just dropped a spicy new interview hinting at a Bitcoin-powered energy future, and President Trump made more pro-crypto statements over the weekend. We'll also look at the latest updates on the Upbit hack, including what investigators think might really be going on behind the scenes. And yes, we're recapping our Thanksgiving special, Part 1, which officially launched this weekend, along with the absolute fever dream chaos of our brand new animated short, Mascot of Madness. If you missed Slicky Mouse escaping corporate tyranny, go fix that. And on the project side, the SENB token continues to climb steadily. Wallet holders are growing, and Phase 1 is officially complete, which means we are now entering Phase 2 a full month early. And let's just say there's a reason some of you have been stacking SENB quietly. Something interesting is coming. All right, let's jump in. Before we break down the macro storm, let's start with how Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and XRP are kicking off December. Getting into all of it right now.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
All right, let's start with the markets, because after a long weekend of turkey, pie, and questionable uncles, crypto is giving us the equivalent of a cold shower. Bitcoin dipped into the mid-85,000 region, down roughly 5.5% on the day. But look closer at the chart. This isn't a trend collapse. It's a retest of that massive liquidity shelf between 83,000 and 87,000. Historically, this zone attracts both leveraged wipeouts and whale accumulation. In other words, nothing here is unusual. It's just December being December. And if you've been in crypto long enough, you know the first week of December is basically a tradition of emotional damage. Solana took the heaviest hit today, dropping over 9% and tagging the $124 level, touching the bottom of that descending channel you can see clearly on your charts. And I know you have them. But here's the interesting part. The stochastic RSI is curling back up hard, signaling that momentum might be shifting faster than people expect. It's almost like markets move in cycles and don't just fall forever. Shocking. Ethereum also slid nearly 8%, sitting just above $2,750. ETH's structure is still intact. We're seeing a typical higher time frame pullback after multiple failed attempts at $3,300. Momentum indicators show exhaustion, but not capitulation. In plain English, Ethereum isn't bullish today, but it's also not dying, regardless of what your favorite apocalypse influencer tweeted. XRP is holding around the low $2.03 mark, down about 6.5%. Its ETF inflows last month helped it run hard, and now we're seeing the natural cool-off after that wave of enthusiasm. You'll notice something if you zoom out. The big spike in late summer hasn't been violated. XRP is consolidating, not collapsing. But don't worry, somebody on X already declared the bull market over, so clearly it must be true. So what we're seeing across the board isn't a meltdown, it's a synchronized cool down after months of momentum. This happens every cycle. People load up on leverage, someone triggers a cascade, price resets, and then everyone suddenly becomes a macroeconomist. It's the circle of life. Mufasa would be proud. All right, that's the state of the charts and the state of your emotions. Coming up next, we break down the weekend's top stories, Saylor's comments, Musk's Bitcoin energy vision, Trump's crypto push, and updates on the Upbit hack. Stay with us. Back after the break.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
Okay, let's take a look at what actually happened this weekend. Because while prices dipped, the headlines went absolutely nuclear. Saylor came out swinging again this weekend, reminding everyone that short-term corrections mean nothing when the long-term adoption curve keeps bending upward. He pointed out that the real story isn't price, it's infrastructure. More corporate treasuries, more sovereign interest, more people building Bitcoin-native energy systems. Saylor could watch Bitcoin drop 50% in a day and still say this is bullish for decentralization. And honestly, he'd still find a way to be right. Elon Musk dropped a fresh interview over the weekend, hinting again that Bitcoin mining could become the backbone of future energy balancing. He talked about interruptible loads, stranded power, and how mining can stabilize grids by absorbing excess energy, which basically translates to Bitcoin fixes the grid, also buy a Tesla. Elon didn't explicitly endorse Bitcoin the way he used to, but the tone was undeniably positive. Over the weekend, President Trump doubled down on his pro-crypto stance. He said the U.S. should lead in Bitcoin mining, support innovation, and protect the industry from bureaucratic choke points. That's a pretty sharp contrast to the old days when half of Washington thought Bitcoin was a digital felony. Whatever your politics, pro-crypto messaging from major political figures helps move institutional sentiment. As for the Upbit situation, investigators say they're tracking the funds, and early signs point to a highly organized group rather than a one-off exploit. The timing, the signature patterns, and the laundering paths look familiar. Some analysts are whispering the word Lazarus, but nothing confirmed. The important part is this. The hack didn't come from Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, or XRP. It came from an exchange layer vulnerability, similar to what Tom Lee has been warning about since October. The weekend volatility scared a lot of people, but zoom out and you see a healthy correction after an overheated October and November. Leverage was piling up, funding rates were absurd, and everyone was suddenly an undefeated trader celebrating early Thanksgiving by going 20 times long. And now that the market corrected, everyone's shocked. Again. A multi-day cooldown is completely normal, especially before December's macro events, including the delayed PCE data. All right, the headlines were loud, but the fundamentals didn't budge. Coming up next, we'll look at the bigger macro picture, jobless claims, delayed inflation data, and how investors are positioning themselves for December. Back after this.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
All right, let's talk about where things might be headed, because today's dip has everyone acting like the bull market just filed for bankruptcy. Bitcoin sitting around 85,000 isn't a sign of structural weakness. It's a classic volatility compression before a larger move. Until BTC breaks below 83K, the bull structure is intact. And if it pushes back above 89K, 90K, you could see momentum return faster than people expect. So no, Bitcoin is not crashing. It's doing cardio. Solana, tagging $124, actually puts it right on the trendline support where buyers historically show up. That stochastic RSI curling upward on the 4-hour, that's usually the early signal before a relief rally, especially after a 9% day in thin liquidity. Of course, Solana traders live in constant fear, so none of them believe it yet. Ethereum around $2,750 looks rough, but ETH pullback is shallow compared to previous cycles. This level has been a multi-month demand zone. If BTC steadies, Ethereum can reclaim the $2,900 to $3,050 band with surprisingly little effort. No, this is not the beginning of Ethereum to $600. Please unfollow anyone who says that. XRP consolidating around $2.01 isn't bearish. It's just the market digesting the massive ETF inflows from the past 2 weeks. Once volume returns later in December, XRP is still positioned to retest the $2.40 zone. And yes, the XRP community still thinks we're going to $5 overnight. Bless their hearts. The PCE report delay means markets are basing predictions on stale inflation data. That creates uncertainty, but also opportunity. Jobless claims remain strong, GDP revisions are delayed, and traders are now looking ahead to the December FOMC meeting, the rescheduled PCE prints, ETF rebalancing season, year-end tax harvesting flows. In other words, December is going to be about as predictable as a Florida hurricane. Elon hinting at Bitcoin-powered energy balancing isn't a short-term catalyst, but it strengthens the long-term thesis. If policymakers latch on to this narrative, especially with President Trump backing crypto, you could see mining-related equities and infrastructure tokens react first. Expect more movement of the hacked funds throughout December, but so far, there's no sign of systemic contagion. This looks like a contained exploit, not the beginning of another FTX-style failure. Yes, we're still in thin holiday liquidity. No, this is not the week to YOLO 30 times leverage. Unless you enjoy emotional roller coasters, in which case, by all means, be a hero. All right, predictions in place. Now it's time to open the inbox. Your proof of thought submissions are next, and today's include questions about the Saylor comments, Trump's crypto stance, and whether this pullback is a trap or a gift. That's coming up right after the break.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to crack open the inbox, your proof of thought submissions for December 1st. Let's see what you sent in over the long weekend. First one is from @MacroMike208. Sen, is this pullback just weekend volatility or the start of something worse? It's volatility, but it's not the end of the cycle. This isn't leverage blowing up like October's liquidation spiral. It's a slowdown in volume during a holiday or half the market was eating leftover stuffing. Until Bitcoin loses 83K, nothing in the structure says trend reversal. It just says, calm down, drink water. Next one comes from Elise R. on the website forum. How serious is the Upbit hack? Should we expect contagion? Not at this point. The exploit looks contained to Upbit systems. Funds are being tracked, laundering paths are familiar, and nothing indicates a structural failure in Solana, Ethereum, or Bitcoin. Remember, exchange layer hacks are not blockchain layer failures. Big difference. Third one is from @SlickTheory87. Does Elon's latest interview actually matter for the market? Short term, maybe a little. Long term, absolutely. Elon reinforcing the Bitcoin strengthens energy grids narrative puts pressure on policymakers to take the tech seriously, especially with President Trump openly supporting crypto and mining. Plus, anytime Elon says the word Bitcoin, someone out there market buys immediately. So yes, it matters. Next question is from Rob in Phoenix. Saylor said Bitcoin isn't crashing. It's upgrading. Do you agree? Saylor has a way of making every dip sound like a religious revelation. But he's not wrong. Bitcoin is consolidating after multiple months of sharp upside. This is normal, healthy even. And if Saylor buys another 10,000 BTC this week, everyone will pretend they always believed him. And this last one today comes from @HedgeFundHank. Are we still expecting something big for SENB? You hinted at it before the weekend. Yes, and that's all I'm going to say today. Phase 1 is complete. Phase 2 is starting early. And certain community members, the ones who've been with us for a long time, might find themselves very happy they paid attention. If you know, you know. If you don't, stay tuned. And our question of the day comes from Crypto Comedian. Sen, if Bitcoin really is the future of money, then why does it always dump right after I buy it? Great question. Truly philosophical. It's because the market is powered by highly advanced algorithms, institutional liquidity models, and your personal bad luck. Honestly, if you want Bitcoin to go up, you might need to start shorting it for the greater good. All right, great questions. Keep them coming in at senbahiromedia.com. Now let's talk about the state of the SENB ecosystem, price, holders, growth, and what Phase 2 actually means. That's coming up right after the break.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
All right, let's talk SENB, because while the broader market was giving everyone emotional whiplash this weekend, the SENB ecosystem was quietly leveling up. We can officially say it. Phase 1 is done. Launched, built, tested, and delivered. We set out to build the foundation, the token, the branding, the show, the platforms, the creator ecosystem, the characters, and the distribution channels. And all of it is now in place. Yes, we're early. Yes, this almost never happens in crypto. But here we are. And the big news, Phase 2 starts today, a full month ahead of schedule. This phase focuses on expanding the media network, new cross-platform integrations, early utility layers for SENB, and the first steps toward community-driven reward mechanisms. And yes, this is the phase where certain holders, the ones paying attention, are going to be very happy. SENB held its structure beautifully over the long weekend. The chart looks better now than it did before Thanksgiving, which is hilarious considering the rest of the market was melting like leftover pumpkin pie. Wallet holders continue to climb, liquidity is stable, and the curve looks healthy. This is what sustainable growth looks like. Not hype, not pumps, just steady expansion. And the biggest signal isn't the price, it's the people. X followers up again, Rumble views rising, YouTube continues climbing, Telegram engagement is positive, and the Mascot of Madness video? Let's just say Slicky Mouse has made an impact. Maybe a slightly chaotic, mildly concerning impact, but an impact nonetheless. The Thanksgiving special, Part 1, launched this weekend, and viewer retention was excellent. And with more specials coming, including new characters stepping into the universe, the ecosystem is about to expand in ways we've only hinted at. Now, something is coming. The only thing I'll say is this. If you've been stacking SEND, you're probably going to like where Phase 2 is headed. And no, I'm still not telling you what the distribution event is. It's more fun when people speculate. And with that, SENB is entering December with momentum, stability, and a very interesting roadmap ahead. Coming up next, the final word for today and what to watch heading into the rest of the week.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
And that wraps up your Monday edition of the SENB Daily Brief. A little volatility, a little chaos, and a lot of headlines, which is exactly how December usually begins. We've got Bitcoin stabilizing, Solana coiling, Ethereum absorbing the pullback, and XRP cooling off after its ETF surge. Nothing broken, nothing alarming, just the market catching its breath after a big November. And on the narrative side, we had Saylor preaching the gospel, Elon hinting at an energy future powered by Bitcoin, and President Trump openly backing crypto innovation again. Not bad for a weekend where half the country was in a gravy coma. Also, if you missed it, our Thanksgiving special, Part 1 is out now, and it's already becoming a fan favorite. And the new animated short, Mascot of Madness, well, let's just say Slicky Mouse has officially broken free from the corporate maze. If that sentence made sense to you, you've definitely been watching this show for too long. The SENB ecosystem just crossed a major milestone. Phase 1 is complete, and Phase 2 starts today, 1 month ahead of schedule. And there's something big brewing. I won't say what it is, but if you've been stacking SENB, yes, keep doing what you're doing. Tomorrow, we'll cover more macro moves as November's rescheduled data starts approaching, plus the next wave of post-Thanksgiving market reaction. It's a busy month. FOMC, inflation prints, ETF flows, holiday liquidity traps, and we're going to break down every step of it. This has been the SENB Daily Brief for Monday, December 1st. Thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, and thanks for being part of the fastest growing corner of crypto media. I'm SENB Hero, and I'll see you tomorrow. The SENB Daily Brief is a production of SENB Hero Media in collaboration with Whole Shot Coffee, coffee that fuels champion. Written and hosted by yours truly, SENB Hero. Production editing and scheduling handled by Maya Valencia, who somehow keeps me on time, caffeinated, and occasionally polite. Original theme music composed and produced by Paul Hahn, the community legend whose beats hit harder than a Fed rate hike. Research support provided by the SENB community. Proof that sarcasm and spreadsheets can coexist. For more shows, merch, and on-chain chaos, visit senbheromedia.com. Thanks for tuning in. Stay caffeinated. And remember, if it's not in the brief, it probably wasn't bullish anyway.
Set my wallet free.